All right, today we're jumping into a book that's going to try and connect some of the biggest mysteries out there. We're talking about The Big Game, The Paranormal Blueprint by Grant Cameron and Desta Barnaby. Now, they put forward a pretty radical new theory that honestly might just change how you look at, well, everything. So let's get into it. So let's start with the big question the book throws at us. You've got your UFOs, your Bigfoot sightings, your ghost encounters. For decades, researchers have been in their own lanes, right? The ufologists over here, the cryptozoologists over there. But what if that's the whole problem? What if by separating everything, we've been missing the one thing that connects them all? And this is the core idea, the book's absolute bombshell of a thesis. The Big Game says these aren't different puzzles at all. They are all just threads in the same giant cosmic tapestry. The authors argue that this whole phenomenon has way less to do with physical ships or hairy monsters and way more to do with the very nature of consciousness. So to really get why we've been stuck, the authors talk about this concept called stovepiping. Think of it like a bunch of intelligence agencies, where each one has a single piece of a top-secret puzzle. But because none of them talk to each other, nobody ever gets to see the full picture. The book argues that's exactly what's been happening in paranormal research for, ever. Everyone's just staring at their own little piece of the puzzle. So where did this wild, unified theory even come from? Well, this quote right here is from a researcher named Ray Hernandez, and it describes a pretty pivotal moment. He was literally stuck in traffic when he had this powerful vision, an epiphany really, where he suddenly saw that all these different paranormal events were just spokes on one giant wheel. And here's a great way to picture that vision. This is the wheel of contact. You see all these different experiences around the edge, UFO abductions, near-death experiences, even shamanic journeys. They all feel totally different, like separate roads. But the theory is they all lead back to the exact same place, that hub right in the middle, consciousness itself. Okay, so that's a pretty bold claim, right? To say it's all connected. So where's the evidence? Well, according to the book, the clues have been hiding in plain sight this whole time. They're in the crossovers, these super weird patterns that pop up in totally different kinds of phenomena. Let's take a look. First up is the physical evidence. I mean, look at this table. You've got bizarre checkerboard burn patterns from a UFO encounter. Then you have things like scoop marks or triangles appearing on people after an alleged abduction. And with Bigfoot, you get these classic signs like branches snapped way up high or footprints that just stop in the middle of nowhere. These aren't just random oddities. The book says they're calling cards from the same source. And just when you think it can't get any stranger, it absolutely does. There's this phenomenon the book calls the wow of clothes. It's exactly what it sounds like. People from totally different cases with no connection to each other report waking up with their shirt on, but it's inside out and backward. It's so specific and so absurd, it suggests whatever we're dealing with, well, it might just have a really weird sense of humor. A cosmic prankster. All right, so beyond the physical clues, the next big crossover is about the beings themselves. You know, the entities. Who, or maybe what, are people actually meeting in these experiences? The answer might not be what you're expecting. For so long, the debate has kind of been boiled down to one thing, the extraterrestrial theory. You know, nuts and bolts aliens from another planet. But the Big Game pushes hard for the interdimensional theory, the idea that these beings aren't from out there, but maybe from right here, just existing in another dimension on another frequency we can't normally perceive. Now, this quote is a potential game changer. It was apparently told to an experiencer named Susie Hansen by one of the beings. Just think about that for a second. We present ourselves in different forms. It implies they're not one fixed thing. They're like cosmic chameleons. Maybe what you see depends entirely on you, your culture, your expectations. Someone today sees a gray alien. A few hundred years ago, they might have seen an elf or a djinn. And if that's true, then this whole cast of characters suddenly starts to make sense. The so-called machine elves people report on psychedelic trips, the wise spirit guides from near-death experiences, the classic grays from abductions. They might not be a whole universe of different creatures. They could all be different masks worn by the very same intelligence. And what's really fascinating is another reoccurring detail. So many experiencers, we're talking everyone from regular folks to former CIA guys, report feeling a powerful guardian presence. It's not something they see, but something they feel is right there with them, guiding them telepathically, making them feel safe. And you have to ask, is that really a separate being? Or could it be something much, much closer to home? So this all leads us to the biggest question of all, doesn't it? If this is all real and it's all connected, why? What is the actual point? Why the inside-out clothes and the cryptic messages and the shape-shifting beings? What's the end game of this big game? And the answer the book offers is what it calls the theory of wow. The idea is that the goal of all this, it isn't to land on the White House lawn and solve all our problems. The goal is to make us say, wow. It's designed to be slippery, to shatter our neat little boxes of what's real and what isn't, and to push us into a state of wonder, because that's where real growth happens. This quote from Jim Semivan, a former CIA official, just nails the whole vibe of it, doesn't it? You can never take it home to meet the parents. It's a cosmic trickster. It gives you just enough evidence to know something incredible is happening, but never enough to prove it to your skeptical friends. It forces the whole thing to stay personal, to stay mysterious. And so that's where we're left. The whole point of the big game is to reframe this entire subject. It's not a hunt for evidence anymore. It's an invitation. An invitation to stop putting everything in separate boxes and start looking for the connections. So the final question isn't for me, it's for you. If reality really is a game designed to inspire awe, what happens when we finally decide to start playing along?